Everybody knows that scrap is overpowered in Astroneer. After all, you can use it with the trade platform in the chemistry lab to get any resource in the game that isn't a gas. The only thing that would make scrap more overpowered is if it was easy to get. It is. Because you can turn your soil into scrap in Astroneer, which means, just as the title says, this is literally dirt cheap. I'm an honest man, obviously. So first I'll show you how this process actually works, and then we're going to move on to a better design. Because yes, this design indeed has flaws. As you can see down here, there are canisters and resin in this crater, and long story short, those came from this, and they're not supposed to be down there like that. So that is a problem that this design has that the other one will not. But the way this works is that the soil centrifuge makes resin automatically whenever we put a medium fluid and soil canister on here, and then it turns that resin into, of course I duplicated the save so this reset. What it's supposed to do is automatically craft canisters, and then those canisters get picked up by this auto arm, and they get scrapped just like this automatically, and thus our soil becomes scrap. I would just like to interject here and say that this is a one-to-one transfer, so one soil canister full of soil is going to be one scrap in the end, if it works as intended. Obviously this one did not. There's resin all over the ground, and that's not supposed to happen, but we will talk about that later, because there will be a better design, of course. Now you should be using a separate shredder for this rather than just the one at your base, which means instead of using the extra large shredder, we're going to want to use the large shredder because it keeps up all the same, except you know it's cheaper, so we do want to use that instead. You should probably also do multiple large shredders, and I recommend that you put said shredders at a different base, and I recommend that you put said base on a different planet, but we'll discuss why later. The reason I recommend you have a separate base is because you're not just doing multiple shredders. By the way, I recommend doing 4 of this entire system, and yes, you are doing 4 of the entire system, not just shredders. That's why you want a separate base, because you want there to not be all this space taken up at your main base, but there's also the part where you need a bunch of power all the time, and I really do mean all the time. If you ever run short on power with this system, then what will happen is the shredder won't be able to keep up with the centrifuge, and then that's part of the reason why the centrifuge sometimes will drop the resin all over the ground, and we obviously don't want that, so we want this base to be isolated so that we can ensure that it always has all the power it needs, and that what else was I gonna say? And that you have enough space for it, yes. Now, technically, you can do both of those things at your main base, so if you technically prefer that, then you technically can. That was too many technicallys. However, you know what I mean. Also, yes, this is the better design that I mentioned earlier when I said that that design sucked and I was going to show you a better one. Yep, this is the one right here, and the reason it is better is because the resin will be able to fit on the platforms all the way so that it won't just drop on the ground, because that was another reason why it did that. And also, the canisters get crafted straight. You can't see it but yeah, the canister will get crafted straight onto a platform, so those also won't drop. So when you're crafting straight onto a platform, to my knowledge so far, it seems like that eliminates the issue. So crafting onto the platform will eliminate everything getting dropped. So even though this takes up more space than the other design, it actually works. So technically, that is a win. I just said technically yet again. You should unsubscribe. Actually, you should not. Don't do that. I don't know what I'm talking about. I never said anything. Now, if this is all you need to know to make your soil to scrap dreams come true, then get out of here. We don't need you anymore. However, if you would like to know the quickest way to gather soil in this game, the most efficient way indeed, that is what we're going to be going over next, so stick around for that. So if you're still here, it means you would like to know the most efficient way to gather soil. And first and foremost, if we're going to do this, you need to go to your least favorite planet, because we are going to be doing some serious damage with this technique. Now that you're on Aatrox, you're going to want 2 large rovers just like this, whereby the one in the front is the one you use to drive, and the one in the back is just a trailer, and both of them have as many medium soil canisters as we can fit on them. Now you can add 2 more trailers just like this back one here if you would like to gather soil for the rest of your life, but obviously the key to all this is going to be the drill strength 3 and the paver. These are what you need to get soil. You don't technically need the paver, but your life is going to be miserable without it if you ever come up to a situation where the ground's not, like perfectly level, so you do want the paver with the drill as well. Use both of them. Don't be dumb. Don't be stupid. I don't know why I had to start slinging insults. Actually, I do. That's just how I feel, okay? I'm just gonna be honest with you. By the way, earlier when I said that you should build the soil to scrap thingy on a different planet, this is what I was talking about, because I recommend you go to a different planet in order to get your soil. So obviously you want to scrap it right there on the same planet. So if you're doing your soil on the home planet, which is, kind of dangerous, don't necessarily recommend that. But if you're doing your soil on the home planet, then just leave the base on your home planet where you scrap it right there, because, why would you go to a separate planet to scrap it when you could just scrap it right where you're gathering the soil? Makes a lot more sense this way. Definitely do that. lesson you be a fool. But we all know what comes next, everybody, and nobody loves Glacial, so really all you gotta do is just start wreaking havoc, okay? Nobody loves you, Glacial. All we want you for is soil and helium, so just stay away from your helium base, and you can just destroy this place because you don't want it for anything else. Nobody's here for sightseeing. It doesn't matter if we make this place ugly. And so yes, right now what you're seeing, I'm just gonna turn this into a time-lapse right now, so you can see how fast this is, and obviously I'm going to include a timer so it's not just a time lapse without telling you how long it takes, so you'll know how long this takes, because, you know, you want to know how long it takes, and I basically just said the same thing 4 times and worded it differently. Anyways, time lapse is going to start now. Oh, yes. Okay, that's it. That's it. That's the whole thing filled up. And, well, you know, see, I don't know how long that was or anything because I wasn't timing it. I'm just going to have to figure that out here in a second, so we're just going to go back to a different location so I can talk about how this was a good idea. So I just checked the recording, and that was about 15 minutes of mining. Now, you may be thinking, oh, world-class jerk, I don't want to mine for 15 minutes straight, but yes, you do, because that's 288 small soil canisters worth of soil on both of these trailers combined. That is a ridiculous amount for just 15 minutes. Even if it took 30 minutes, it is still worth it, because it's just so freaking much. 288 soil, as I said before, it's a direct transfer. So 288 small soil canisters worth of soil is going to be 288 scrap whenever you transfer it to scrap. So this is ridiculous. It is an absolute steal. Cannot recommend it more. And if you made it this far and you haven't subscribed yet, I hate you, but also go ahead and do that. Maybe you can still be redeemed. And join my Discord, link in the description, to become a jerk today. Goodbye.